Have you ever wondered why we're captivated by superheroes, historical tales of war, and combat sports like MMA and boxing? And why are there so many people motivated to be fit, strong, and capable? The answer is the warrior archetype. I believe there is a warrior in all of us. It recognizes strength, courage, and combat. In this video, we'll dive into the warrior archetype, examining its psychology, evolution, behavior, dangers, and deeper meaning. To understand the warrior archetype, we first have to understand what archetypes are. Carl Jung considered archetypes to be primordial images. They are the pictorial forms of the instincts where the unconscious reveals itself to the conscious mind. These psychic images have their most vivid representation in mythology. They belong to the collective human psyche and not the individual psyche. Just like the physical features of the body, the archetypes are inherited structural organs of the mind whose functioning the well-being of the individual depends on, and whose injury can cause great harm. The contents of various archetypes are the result of transpersonal experience across human evolution. They are repositories of our ancestors' perceptions and reactions, forming the basis of complex psychological instincts. When experienced personally, an archetype grips the individual and directs their perceptions, motivations, behaviors, and personality. Cultivating and expressing a well-functioning archetype can be tremendously fulfilling and meaningful to the individual, while expressing a dysfunctional archetype can be terrifying and catastrophic. In this video, we're concerned with understanding, then expressing the well-functioning warrior archetype in ourselves. According to the works of psychologists and authors like Carol Pearson in her book The Hero Within: 6 Archetypes We Live By, and Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette in their book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, the warrior archetype embodies the inner drive to confront challenges head-on. The warrior represents our capacity for decisive, disciplined action in the face of adversity, as well as aggression and violence. In Pearson's words, the warrior embodies our drive to take decisive action in the face of adversity, asserting our strength and defending what we hold dear, while learning to temper aggression with courage and discipline. Moore and Gillette state that the warrior uses strength not merely to dominate, but to establish clear boundaries, pursue honorable goals, and protect the integrity of the self. In their view, the characteristics of the warrior are aggression, discipline, clarity, control, commitment to a moral code or greater cause, for example, an idea, a god, a community or a nation, and skill, particularly of the body. When properly expressed, the warrior is a set of healthy and adaptive psychological and physical traits that serve the health and well-being of the individual and their community. Moore and Gillette also describe the two poles of the warrior archetype. They call them the shadow warriors. This occurs when the warrior becomes detached from human relationship and commitment to a moral code or greater cause, resulting in either an excess or deficiency of warrior possession. In excess and unbound from morality, the traits of the warrior turn the individual into a sadist, a monster, capable of unethical violence and destruction. Villains like Darth Vader and Bane are fictional examples of shadow warriors. Men with terrifying power and no moral restraint. A deficiency of the warrior traits, on the other hand, turns the individual into a coward, a weakling, incapable of asserting his boundaries or will upon the world. Powerless, the coward becomes bitter and resentful, depressed and passive, pitying themselves and hating the strong. The warrior, in his fullness, is the antithesis of destructive sadists and vengeful cowards, combining power and skill with discipline and a moral code to harness a positive psychological archetype and become a force for good. Turning to history reveals real, concrete examples of warriors in their fullness. Japanese samurai, Spartan soldiers, Shaolin monks, and Māori warriors are all examples of embodied warriors, capable of protecting their tribe and country and using lethal force if necessary. We mustn't forget in this relatively peaceful time in history, the capacity for violence is embedded in human nature. For most of us, violence plays little to no role in our lives, much less a legitimate or legal role. However, we should not overlook there are at least 3 classes of sanctioned warriors in modern society: law enforcement, armed forces, and strength and combat athletes. These modern-day warriors wield violence in the name of justice, security, and entertainment, and serve as an important reminder that the warrior archetype is alive and well, and continues to play an important and necessary role in society. These 3 classes of warriors, police, army, and athletes, all require a set of physical skills and capacities. In simple terms, if you want to be a warrior, you must have the capacity to physically act like a warrior and not merely think like one. If you're watching this and thinking the warrior archetype resonates with you, but wondering, how do I access the warrior? Listen up. The quickest and most direct route to becoming a warrior is through training the body. Training the body will train the mind, because pushing the body to do things it doesn't want to do requires courage, mental fortitude, and toughness, ultimately leading to discipline. There are specific areas we should focus our training to, which I'm going to get into in more depth in episode 3. To begin with, notice your innate drives towards strength, skill, capability, competence, and power. These manifest themselves in all sorts of ways, whether it's career ambition, competitive drive, or motivation to work out and get in shape. Notice also in your darker moments, feelings of rage, feelings of vengeance, a desire to hurt someone who wronged you, or to hurt yourself, destroy something, or rebel against the crowd. I don't want to incriminate myself, but I think it's important to acknowledge the shadow in us, because as I've explained, when taken to excess in its shadow form, the warrior traits can turn men into destructive sadists, and when neglected to deficiency, the warrior traits can make men petty and cruel. It's important to take stock of these basic instincts because regardless of whether you like them or not, they're part of you and they influence you. It's better to cultivate them and harness them into a fulsome and honorable warrior than allow them to possess you and make you a criminal or a coward. Think about hero stories that inspired you growing up. For me, that was Batman, Spider-Man, and Dragon Ball Z. Ask yourself, what about these stories inspired you? Why did they appeal to you? It's a power fantasy. We wanted to become a superhero or a Super Saiyan. The idea of it made sense to us and spoke directly to our transpersonal consciousness, our human nature. We weren't taught to like these stories. They orientate our perceptions and grip our imagination instinctively. We recognize the warrior at a very young age, even if we don't understand why. Human mythology and literature are littered with countless warriors from every culture and every context. The warrior is in our nature. And that's where we came in. The warrior is a pictorial representation of a set of instincts that evolve within us to make us greater than what we are. When represented in his fullness, the warrior is skilled, courageous, honorable, and strong. When neglected and underdeveloped, the warrior becomes a weakling, cowardly, and unable to stand up for himself or anyone else. When taken to excess without proper guidance, the warrior becomes a monster, angry and sadistic, hurting themselves and the people around them. Warriors are real. There is a warrior in all of us. Make conscious the unconscious and awaken your inner warrior. With proper training and cultivation, the warrior can become your greatest strength and ally. Join me for episode 2, where we meet real living warriors. If you appreciate this content, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.